Welcome, David Lange from Australia and Israel. Um, First of all, just tell us a little bit about you. Like you started saying that you're from Australia. When did you move to Israel?
Okay, so I grew up in Perth, Western Australia, and I moved to Israel in the year 2000, right at the height of the second so-called Intifada. Not because that was what was going on, that was just dumb luck. I actually had met someone here and we ended up getting married. But, the seeds of Zionism had been planted well before then. And so, yeah, I'm coming up to my 25th year here and I haven't looked back and I absolutely love it here. Even though it's very different from Australia, but one thing you can say about Israel is there's never a shortage of action.
Yeah, it's a very interesting place. That's true. And so you live in Israel since 2000 and you started Israellycool at what year?
Okay, so I started that in the year 2003. And I would say, like a lot of activists these days, I sort of fell into it accidentally for very different reasons. Back in 2003, for the older generation watching this, there was no social media back then, believe it or not. Television was in color, wasn't in black and white, but we didn't have social media. But this thing called blogs had just come into being. And I read some sort of news article online about a blog, and I just kind of felt like I wanted to try it out, as sort of like a cathartic experience. So I opened up a blog in Blogspot. We have a bit of background noise.
Yeah, sorry. I
Um,
that person.
I'm ADD, so, if anyone makes any noise, I'm just going to lose complete track of everything, like most of us. Yes, so I opened up a blog spot, and if anyone wants to, as a homework exercise, have a look at my first post. They're like, a lot of them had nothing to do with Israel. I think my first post had to do with cricket, which for those that don't
Oh,
know, that's like baseball's rich cousin. It's a different sport that Australians and Indians and Englishmen and South Africans play. And I guess even though it was called Israellycool, right? I just picked that name. It was like also there wasn't much strategy behind that name. I actually, as I mentioned before, I don't really like that name now, and we'll go into why a bit later, because it sort of doesn't fit the purpose of what I'm trying to achieve these days. But it sort of evolved a long time. And just by the way, interrupt with another question if that's or you want me to continue describing the
no, I
evolution.
just want, yeah, continue. Yeah, it's good.
So, so I started in March 2003, and it was around the middle of 2003, maybe the middle of 2004. I don't quite remember. I blogged about Israel either assassinating a Hamas hole called Rantizi. He was a doctor, if you remember him. Either we tried to assassinate him. I shouldn't say assassinate, right? I should say just, liquidate, terminate. We tried to terminate him, or we actually did take him out. And I wrote about it. And then what happened, this changed everything. Some person in Australia, a complete stranger, commented on that post. Now, this doesn't sound very,
Yeah.
mind-blowing right now, but remember, there was no social media. I honestly thought the only people reading this sort of little blog were my parents and my family members. It was a completely different world. So for someone without any effort, I didn't have anywhere to share it. There was no Facebook to share the post. I literally wrote a post on my own website, and then a guy in Australia, believe it or not, and he was non-Jewish, he commented. He happened to be very pro-Israel, so he
Yeah.
commented, and then there was a lot of comments, and I'm like, oh my God,
This
what
is
is
working.
this? Yeah, there
Yeah.
is something to this. And then I really segued into more Israel-related posts, which was more in line, I guess, with the name of the blog, Israellycool. And it's sort of over time, that's how I've gone along doing things. And so again, it's not like unlike many other, websites, social media accounts, amutot, non-profits. It wasn't like I started this with a complete objective and mission and a
Yeah.
way to go about things. It sort of evolved, and I would summarize things as, and which is one of the advantages I think Israellycool has. I've effed up way more times than anyone here probably, because I've been doing this for 22 years. And the best way to learn what works is to do a bunch of stuff and make a lot of mistakes to see what doesn't work. And that's basically it. I'm not a genius. I'm not a brilliant person. I'm just a person that has a lot of experience doing a lot of wrong things and some right things, and being able to sort of, like as a recipe, you work out what works to make the meal tastier.
Amazing. And at what point did you decided that you want to become like an official nonprofit? And why? Like, what is this transition about?
Right. Okay. So in order to answer that question, I have to go a bit into my personal life.
Okay.
So my wife at the time, she got ovarian cancer in 2012.
Oh, I'm so
And
sorry.
yeah, so she ended up passing away in 2019. But it's
Oh, no.
very, it's very influential in how things developed, because I was in high tech. I had a very good job in high tech. I was a manager, and I slowly, I couldn't handle that job anymore. I had to kind of reduce my hours and work from home as a caregiver. And, Israellycool had always been sort of my release, my outlet, my hobby. But in 2019, she actually ended up passing away in August 2019. But at the beginning of the year, the company that I worked for, they were actually laying off people, retrench. There was going to be
Oh,
retrenchment, but
wow.
and I was at the point where I can't handle my job and looking after my wife, and I was actually going to, you know, quit. That's the word I'm looking for. That's what happens when you live in Israel a long time. Sometimes you don't have the Hebrew word or the English word, and
Yeah. No,
you're in
100%.
silence. What am I? What's
Yeah.
the word? What language?
Yeah. Which language am I on
Yeah.
now? Yeah.
So I wanted to quit, and then I don't want to call it a miracle, because obviously it's hard to call things miracles when you're on the receiving end of some bad stuff from the Lord.
Yeah, tragedy.
But everything happens for a reason, I guess. They were offering retrenchment packages. So in other words, I was able to get a golden handshake from this high tech company. And then my wife said to me, listen, yeah, go and pursue your dream. My dream was to do this full time, because and many of you, without knowing all your individual stories, I'm guessing maybe it resonates with some of you, especially since October the 7th. Many of you probably come to the fold and come to the cause and gone, I just feel this drive. It's almost hard to explain, that I need to be doing this right now. It's like the calling. So I had
Yeah.
this calling for a long, long time. As I saw things were working in what I was doing, and now circumstances were such that I was able to do that. I had a bit of leeway financially to be able to do that. So I set up the nonprofit. So one, because I was able to at the time, financially, but also because I kind of felt like, if people are going to support Israellycool, I want to at least provide some sort of tax deductible receipts. And also sort of fit. I didn't want, I'm never, I don't like the word influencer, and maybe some of you are influencers and like the word. I don't like it, because I think everyone on the planet can influence other people. So it's a meaningless word to me, and I wouldn't call myself that. But I wanted the nonprofit because I was a person with a mission, and I wanted an organization to fulfill that mission, and I wanted people who are going to support not me but the mission. Israellycool. It's not about David Lange. It's about Israellycool and the mission and of Israellycool.
How would you describe what the nonprofit does today, like, for someone from
Yeah.
the outside?
Sure. Okay, so the mission, and again, this is something that I didn't start off with. It developed, and then when I created
Yeah.
the nonprofit, this was the mission. And spoiler alert, there's no spoiler alert because it was in the advertisement for this Zoom meeting, but it's actually what I'm trying to do with the pro-Israel advocacy is to employ a more effective, what I see as a more effective approach by, having a real impact beyond the echo chamber, utilizing psychological warfare. And before I say anything else, because Israel advocacy, a lot of it is the echo chamber, and I don't want to come across as saying that's useless, because I do a lot of echo chamber stuff as well. Like, there are different types of Israel advocacy. The echo chamber would be the most popular one. And what do I mean by the echo chamber? I mean, when your main audience are other pro-Israel people, right? And that's the majority of people. That's really your audience. The majority of people, it's
Yeah.
mostly pro-Israel people. And that's not a waste of time, because God knows in these horrible times that we're living in, We need the inspiration. We need the encouragement. We need others. We need the support
100%.
network. But
Yeah.
not only that, we need information. So, I've been doing this for 22 years. I have something like I've written 25,000 plus posts, many of which debunk many of the libels that are going around again. So there's a lot of information there that is used and can be used by advocates out there. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you come across I'll give you an example. This Menachem Begin quote that all the goyim are like animals and we're the masters. I see that on Twitter almost every day. I wrote a post about that a few years ago, and people are retweeting that. They're looking at it. So it's sort of like weapons in an arsenal. So I think that's very important. But
What is the
I
quote about? Could you?
I don't remember the exact quote. If you go to Israellycool and type in Menachem Begin in the search, it's something like it's mostly neo-Nazis and I guess also leftist anti-Semites. Somehow it's one of these fake quotes where it's like a meme, and he's basically talking badly about non-Jews, that we're the masters over them. Now, anyone that knows anything about Menachem Begin, and you can probably see him in the back in the bookshelf, he's one of those bobbleheads in the back. He was like the best, I think, the best Israeli prime minister, my personal favorite, and I know the personal favorite of many. And he would never, anyone that knows history and has read up on Menachem Begin, he wouldn't say something like that. And he obviously didn't. So that's just one example of a libel that I've debunked. But as I was mentioning,
You use the term psychological warfare. Can you explain what you mean?
yeah, sure. So psychological warfare, by the way, so again, this isn't something that I have a degree in psychology and I said I'm going out there to employ psychological warfare. How do I know it's psychological warfare? Well, and I'll answer your question, believe me, but I just want to give you this background. I was in one of these kind of sessions with other Israel advocates about 6 months ago in a different WhatsApp group, and there was an expert on psychological warfare, and he was giving a talk. And as he's talking about the importance of psychological warfare, he gives examples, and I'm like, in this session, I'm going, oh my God, I'm doing this
This
stuff.
is what I'm doing.
This is actually, now I can actually package and label what Israellycool is doing. So basically, it's the enemy use psychological warfare. It's not about facts and winning a debate, and that's a mistake many Israel advocates fall into. It's like you'll win with facts, right? They'll say something and you go, bazinga, I've got the truth. No, no, no. There's a lot of other stuff going on, and we have to use psychological warfare against them because they're using it against us. So its techniques, basically, the way that I see it, it's got two kind of facets. On one hand, it's the techniques to help influence people onto our side that aren't necessarily pro-Israel, to be influential and to get them on our side.
Yeah.
And in a minute, I'll talk about some of the things that can work. And on the other hand, it's basically to proactively make life miserable for the bad guys, the anti-Semites and the terror supporters, because traditional, what's called hasbara, and I hate that word, but we all know what it means about explaining. It's been very reactive, and we need to be proactive. And I think, especially on Instagram and Twitter and other social media, more and more people are being very proactive these days. So I think that's good. There has been that shift over the past few years. But just to give you an example, like reactive would be if there's a libel, you debunk it, which I mentioned a while ago. I do that. But if you want to be more proactive, you go after the people that are actually disseminating these libels, right? You go after them.
Yeah.
You look at their social media posts, any background checks you can do on them. You see, they've got a history of lying, they've got a history of, I don't know, criminal activity. Like you, mamash, I don't want to say play dirty, but it kind of is playing dirty, right? You throw all the things at them, including the kitchen sink. You have to, because our lives are at stake here. There's no playing nice anymore. You can't play nice. You have to operate within the law. That's very important. Don't break the law. But anything within the law that you can do to make life miserable for these people, we need to do it. I believe that. And this is psychological warfare.
So, like, for example, if you know someone is like always like like a bad guy, right, online, so you go ahead and you discover things about him, and then what do you do with that knowledge? Like, if
Okay,
that's
so
okay to
yeah.
ask.
So I write, so I think I could be corrected if I'm wrong, but I believe I was the first to pioneer the technique that you see now everywhere. You know, you see Stop Antisemitism, Jew Hate Database, Canary Mission. Okay, you know, when you create like dossiers or articles on bad actors, they do it full time, right? And they do it
Yeah.
very seriously. I would say the difference with Israellycool is I've always used humor as part of my psychological warfare. So, because it's about connecting with the audience. It isn't just about putting facts out there. A lot of the appeal of Israellycool and getting people beyond the echo chamber is that people kind of somehow relate to the voice or the tone or the persona. I can't explain it, but and I can give examples later, but it's worked. So I will use humor and sarcasm when I expose. I don't know if you have an example you want to show, but yeah, a lot
I
of
think
the
I am in the right place, no?
go now to special anti-Semites. Yep. Let's just pick go down. You know what? I guess it doesn't. Just one of the anti-Zionist anti-Semites of the day. Uh, just pick one. I don't know if this is a good example, but like so meet so and so, which and then I try to use a bit of humor there. I mean, okay, there's a bit of a and let's have a look. Okay, and at the end of this post, the punchline is because the whole point of this anti-Zionist, not anti-Semite, is someone that claims or portrays themselves as just anti-Israel. And the punchline is, "Thank you for playing." Go to the bottom. Thank you for playing. Maybe this is one example that I don't have it. Here. Thank you for playing anti-Zionist, not anti-Semite. Unfortunately, you lose. So there's a number of, it looks kind of, very funny or whatever, or not funny, but there's a lot of psychological warfare there because one, you're disarming them, you're taking away their sort of alibi, right? A lot of these
Yeah.
people say, no, we're just anti-Israel, we're not anti-Zionist. So I'm providing proof, right? I'm providing the receipts to show, and it's not like just my feelings. I will show screenshots of like things which are very anti-Semitic that people on the fence will look at and go, oh my God, yeah, that's anti-Semitic. Do you know what I mean? It's not like crying
Yeah.
wolf, like some people tend to do. It's like, this is, I think, a terror supporter, right? And the other thing is using humor and sarcasm has the added benefit of really pissing them off, pardon my French. Like
Mhm.
they feel like if you just play, as we say, with a straight bat, like seriously, sometimes they, look at Candace Owens, all right? She won like Anti-Semite of the Year, which,
Yeah.
that award, which I don't
Yeah.
agree having such an award, but that's a different discussion. But she like kind of was almost proud of it. But if you do a post or you somehow do it in a way that you're making fun of her or these anti-Semites, you get inside their head. And I can give some real life examples of where this has happened, where there are anti-Semites that really think that I am like, the elders of Zion. They think that this David Lange, who
Yeah.
most pro-Israel advocates haven't even heard of, right? I don't get invited to the Knesset and receive prizes or things like that, or even funding. But I always joke that if only the Israeli government or the Israel advocacy world looked at me like the anti-Semites look at me. Sort of like that
Yeah,
joke,
because I saw
yeah.
that, like, if I Google your name, actually, this comes up.
Well, David Lang, if you just Google David Lang, he was the Prime Minister of New Zealand. You have to put in like Israel. Yeah, there you go. He's out guns me. Yeah. Yeah, that's my site. You might see some bad write-ups about me.
Yeah, I found you in like a very bad neighborhood the other day. Um,
But I can give you a contemporary example. Okay, so I don't know who he is from America.
but do you know what I mean? There's this website that does kind of like exposing the Zionist, and they put you
Yeah,
as
there's an Iranian website, but there's okay, but yeah, so I'm on the radar of the bad guys. So there's a guy called see this one, curated edits, the one at the top, and this is just basically they're trying to do a hit piece on me. None of that is true, by the way.
but they
Another thing, yeah, another thing about Israellycool is I'm not Islamophobic because I actually have like Muslims writing on the website, and I'm very friendly. Before the Abraham Accords, I was already One of my good friends is from Dubai, so that's another part of the strategy. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not one of these people that like attacks Islam all the time.
Mm,
Not that I don't have problems with fundamentalist Islam, I do, but I have moderate Muslims who support us, and I kind of figured that's a good strategy to have them on our side.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
But so what I wanted to say, but is there's a like an example from recently. There's a guy called Lucas Gage. He's one of the predominant neo-Nazis in the States. He's very big on social media. So I have a bit of a history with him, and I got inside his head because I did some
Mm,
exposés of him, and then it doesn't matter. I won't give the whole story. But I would say about 6 months ago, he was swatted at his house in New Jersey, and then all these people were like, I guess it was Jewish people, but it also could have been his fellow neo-Nazis. We don't know who it was. We're sending him pizzas, like they were calling the pizza place, and just like basically making his life hell with free pizza, but he would have to pay for the pizza, and he was getting
oh
swatted by
my
the cops.
God.
And he blamed me. He like blamed me. Now, I honestly had nothing to do with it. I wasn't even paying attention. I just was paying attention every time all these anti-Semites were like sending me death threats and tweets and things until I realized what was going on. But the reason he blamed me is because of this psychological warfare. I got inside his tiny little brain. And so he figured I was behind all the ills, not just the Jews, but me. So, you got to take the good with the bad or the bad with the good. Like if you do psychological warfare, there's also sometimes some consequences on
And I
yourself.
and I see that people can submit posts for you because we have a lot of
Yep.
people that write content here. So if
Yep.
someone has an idea for uh this kind of types, either history or
No, it
about
could be
Palestine,
anything. It could
it
be
could be
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
So you accept contribution, like people can contribute to the website here.
Yeah. So we have guest posters, and you could either submit there, or you can actually just email me. We can give out the email later, or you can WhatsApp me because I'm on the groups. And
Okay.
if you have an idea, and yeah, I mean, for sure, the more contributions, the better. Yeah. So the site's been mentioned a lot in the mainstream media. And if you go to
Which is
know the
amazing. Do you have like numbers about like how popular the website is?
I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm a bit boring this way or old school. I try not to pay attention to statistics. And I think because one of our side's weaknesses, can I say it that way? We are too focused on follower counts. Now, I'm not saying that having a large number of followers isn't an advantage, but a lot of times it's kind of a bit misleading because you might
Yeah.
have huge followers who are all like pro-Israel, right? And you're not really getting beyond
Yeah.
that echo chamber. And I know how much social media following I have, but the website I would say gets about 10, maybe 10,000 visits a day or something like that. But
Wow, that's amazing.
what's pleasing is a lot of people come through the Google search results. So people are looking up keywords. They might be looking up a particular person I profiled or whatever it is, and they get to the website. So that's good because that's how you get people beyond the choir. They're not necessarily coming because they follow you on social media. They're coming from Google search.
Amazing. And is this how you succeed to maintain this activity with this subscription model?
No,
I'm
no,
just
you're
asking
looking at the
because,
Washington Post subscription. You just clicked on the Washington Post. I guess one of
oh, I'm
the
sorry.
yeah, that's not me. No, no, I don't charge money. I do not have a firewall. That goes against the whole purpose of getting beyond the echo chamber. I refuse to charge, but people can donate. I mean, the model is it's a non-profit. So we need donations to keep going. I took all ads off the site because it kind of cheapened the site, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, people can either sponsor posts or they can go to donate at the top, or they can, if they want to, donate substantially more. There are other ways to donate. But yeah, it's a non-profit. And I'm not in this, let's say, to make money, because if I wanted to make money, I would have stayed in high tech. This is
Yeah.
a mission. This is a passion. And I hope to be able to continue to do it for as long as, you know what? I'll take that back. I hope one day there's anti-Semitism disappears, and then I have to find another job. Let's say that.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good wish. Like for your birthday when you blow the candles on your cake. I love that.